Hello and welcome to Real Actors, Real Answers, where you are the star. Today we have a storyteller, and he's going to tell his story. And there's many pages to that story. Whit Whitman, he's a storyteller. That's how he's going to introduce himself. And so I'm going to no longer hog the spotlight. I'm going to say, hello, Whit Whitman. How are you?
Hello, how are you, good sir? How's everyone out there watching today? Hopefully good.
And we're doing good. So you'd call yourself a polymath and a storyteller. Could you open that chapter and tell us a little bit about how
Sure.
you started and what your favorite things were to do or challenges?
Well, storytelling comes, in my mind, storytelling is everywhere. And I think storytelling is what propels society. And the way I got started in all of this was um, right out of college. I was a really weird kind of thing back in the 80s. I played college football on a full ride at Murray State University. People thought I would go pro, except for the fact when I was 14, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. And so I was one of the first weird jock nerds, right? And so straight out of college, I went and worked for a company called TSR that made Dungeons and Dragons because I was designing games. And so the first part of my storytelling career was creating, publishing and creating over 50 tabletop games. Um, and card games and things like that. But the unique part of all of that was it was still storytelling, right? Like if you watch anybody streaming Dungeons and Dragons today, I mean, it's actually become pretty big media and everyone's into storytelling. And I've always told people that role playing was the poor man's acting, right? Like
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I mean, have you ever role played?
Yeah.
Have
Do it
you?
in my coaching, and that it's very important and good
Yeah,
learning
but
curve.
have you played Dungeons and Dragons? Have you done
I
that?
confess I have not.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons, the way it's set up is the main person running it is like the director, and they give out little bits of script to all the players, and they react almost like improv as if they were there doing it. And it's the mind's eye theater. I'm telling a story and we're all interacting. Now, the difference is, let's say I want to pickpocket somebody's pocket. Well, I roll a die, and if I roll a certain number or less, I continue to improv as though I did it. And if I roll a higher number, I have to improv as my character couldn't do that. Right?
Okay, this reminds me of one game that I have played, and I kind of got addicted to it. This was years ago, but it's now I approach it more maturely. Morrowind?
Morrowind? I've heard of it.
Yeah, that's kind of like where you're describing. You get to choose whether you are a villain or a hero, and even moral
Mhm.
choices and things.
Yeah, yeah. And then out of this, probably in the early 90s, came the a company called West End Games put out murder mystery parties, and you could buy a box and sign everyone characters, and that's where the murder mysteries started, kind of, right? I mean, now there was always the movies, but they created it, and then it's now evolved to where people do improv murder mysteries everywhere on trains, at hotels,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But that all came from the gaming industry. People don't realize that. And then we have live action role playing where people go out on the weekend and they dress up like their favorite characters with foam weapons and whatever. And so again, not everyone could be an actor, but they can train in various different ways, right? And
I
so
like it.
and I think one of the reasons why scripts are better today is if you almost ask any writer in Hollywood, yeah, they played Dungeons and Dragons and they understood storytelling. So that's where I got my start. And then I had children. And when my daughter was 11 years old, she said, "Hey, Dad, I want to go and be in local community theater." And so she was cast as Brigida in Sound of Music. And I had to drive 45 minutes every night for her to practice. And they said, well, if you're going to be here, why don't you play one of the German guys or whatever? And then after that, they said, hey, you did a real good job. Would you like to be the King of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland? Well, I accepted thinking it was the movie, but they did it off the books. And I ended up having 70 some lines
Oh,
and,
wow.
and learned it out of fear, right? So that's kind of how I got into that part. But I always wanted to be in the filmmaking. And then after my daughter graduated, I ended up going to Atlanta, where I spent my whole time doing background and writing 2-minute scenes for background actors so they could have their demo reels. And I did over 150 of those. I wrote them, produced them, and did it for all these people. And then I would get on all these sets. Like the first gig I had was The Walking Dead. I was one of Negan's saviors. And so,
Oh, great.
yeah, I was there when they killed Glenn and everything, right? So we had to keep that a secret for 9 months, by the way. And but I was actually there spying on how they made all the movies, and that's how I got into it. And now I'm to the point where I've done my 10th feature uh, and about 150 shorts.
Did you say spy on
Oh yeah,
production?
I'm spying on all these big features, how they do the things. Like I would
That's
ask,
like that's like Steven Spielberg. That's what he
yeah,
did,
I just had to figure out how they did it.
right?
How they were putting it together, how they operated. Because one of the things that I teach, like you teach acting, right? I used to think I teach acting, but I don't. What I do is I think there's three parts of being an actor. The first one is knowing how to act, right?
Mhm.
The
Right.
second one that I teach everybody is how to perform in front of cameras on a set. Because if you learn all the acting in the world and you get cast and now they're sticking a camera right in front of you, this is not a skill set that you've had before.
Then you freeze.
Then you're like, freeze. So
Right.
one of the things I teach is like every time I do one of my workshops and I film a short, I spend 2 hours saying this. If I can get the actor comfortable, I get 100% of their acting ability.
Thank you. It's true.
Does that make sense? So
Oh,
so
100%.
so there's three skills to acting. The first one is learning to act. The second one is learning to act on a set and becoming comfortable. And the third one is the business of acting. And so many people don't understand the business side of it. For instance, they don't really, an independent, pay you to show up for a red carpet. Why do you do that? And most people won't, or they go, whatever. But in independent, you show up because every commercial, every uh, film you're in, everything you do is a photo opportunity for you to grow your social media, to build on who you are. Because I believe in the next 10 years, you're going to be hired as much of your social media presence as your talent, right?
That's true. That's true. We recently went to one of my students' red carpet premiere in Beverly Hills, and we went there, and it was fun. Very interesting people in Hollywood. You know how they dress and everything, but um, you have to expose yourself in both areas, social media, but don't get stuck there. Um, and then you'll be like Tron, you know. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
out of that web and put yourself out there with real people, flesh and blood, I mean. But that's a good point you made.
Well, I mean, I don't know your experience with your actors, but I still think uh, acting is an introvert's revenge. I think about 80% of actors are introverts, and they don't like going and doing the social stuff.
No.
But they need to be taught the business aspect. Again, there's three layers. There's learning it, there's being in front of the camera, and then there's the business side of it.
Yes, I agree 100%. It's like introvert. If you're only introvert, it's breathing in. Well, you need to breathe out too. You need to, otherwise, no one's going to really know you, and you become a researcher.
Yeah. Well, take that same introverted ability that makes you become an actor, create a social mask, and be that person and go do your business.
I like
And
that.
then come back and be who you are, right?
Yeah,
I find most of Hollywood is all smoke and mirrors anyway.
it is.
And I'm not saying go lie to people. That's not what
I
I'm
know.
saying. I'm
I know.
saying what I've learned mostly in everything that I'm doing is when I first started out, I was probably a lot, I hate to use this word, crueler to actors because I thought it was important for them to understand that their odds of making it are 1 in 100,000, which
Okay.
which is not a good thing. And
No.
so I would tell them, this, and why you shouldn't, because I had this mentality that if they were still there after I told them all the bad stuff, now maybe I'm going to save them a whole lot of heartache.
Right.
And then about 4 years ago, as we get older, right? I think you and I are about the same age.
About
So
the same.
as we get older, I said, who am I to dash someone's hopes when they want to do something like become an actor or get into film?
Hmm.
It's my job to educate you to level the playing field so that you can be the best that you can be. And now what I push on people is find the joy in doing this. I'm not here to take the joy away from anyone anymore, but I'm also not here to sugarcoat that this is your odds are good. So
Okay.
if you can just enjoy the ride, then whatever happens is great, right?
I get it. Yeah. When you level
Yeah.
the playing field, you can see the whole landscape.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I have a Little Monsters filmmaking guide on Facebook where I've published 270 articles that cover everything from filmmaking to acting to uh, just the business landscape, and then
Sure.
separate here's Hollywood, here's independent filming, and here's where they don't meet, and here's where they do meet. And I just published some articles yesterday, I think four of them, on what you can expect as an actor by the year 2030 or a filmmaker at 2030. I mean, everyone knows right now that Hollywood's going through a shakeup, right? They're down 25% of what they used to do. Jobs are harder, and people are all chicken littling, going whatever. And I'm going that Hollywood's just molting right now. And what's happening is
Oh,
filmopreneurs are coming around, right? YouTube is much bigger now.
sure.
So while this new wild west of streaming is coming along, it's an advantage for the middle class people to finally get in there if they've got good ideas and good stories.
I agree. I like the word molting because when a snake molts, for instance, I know other animals do, but there's a new skin underneath.
Yeah.
And if you go back into early days in New York in the 1980s, there was a slump in Broadway, but guess what? It comes back up. Inevitably, people breathe new life into it, and there's new people coming aboard. You know, new generation. What is it now? Z, X,
Yeah. That are
all of
much
that.
different from us.
Yeah, but we can learn from them, and they can learn from us.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
They think we're
Uh,
old dinosaurs. Y'all are
hey, 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 hey!
greatest.
Dinosaurs attract attention.
Yeah, that's
You go
true.
to you go to museums. Um, I've been looking at your IMDb, and like I said, you were in The Walking Dead. You did some crew work too, because and I'm getting to know you more. You don't like to be in front of the camera. Um, what was the most memorable experience on a particular set, particular film?
Hmm. Well, I enjoyed being the rock stand-in on Fast 8, mainly because as a stand-in, I
Right.
got a lot more time with the camera crew. And I
Right.
would
Okay.
ask all kinds of questions, with the camera guys. And that's
Yeah.
like when one of the first times I learned, I was like everyone else, oh, we got to have these good cameras or Netflix isn't going to pick us up. And he was the first one to say, we shoot on 2.5s, we don't shoot on 4Ks. And here's something I'll tell you. It's like, if you produce for Netflix, they require those, but they'll take anybody.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
you can shoot on a damn iPhone
Because
if it gets
because
enough present.
people get, stuck in their craw. Well, I can't afford a 4K. I can't even make this film. I could, you
Well,
know.
they'll take it on anything, but if you work for them, if they produce the movie
Oh,
and you are working on a Netflix set,
right.
that's the equipment they require.
Okay, I
And
get it.
and people get that mixed up, right? So by getting out and just being on doing different various things, you get to ask questions. And I think this newest generation coming up, one of the I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. It's a different thing. They're going to have to learn all their lives. They're going to have to continue their education all the way through till the time they die.
Yes,
There's
that's
no
a big
getting a
thing.
job and working 20 years and retiring.
No, that's why I'm an advocate for um, how you hear like, well, cell phones, you don't have to think with them. It's like, do you realize what you just said? You don't think, you don't grow, you don't learn, you don't expand. Y- it's a reference like a hammer and saw how to build a house, but yet make sure you keep your vision of what kind of house you want. Use your creativity. Yeah, I got to back up for a minute because you caught me off guard. Who did you have who were you a stand-in for?
Oh, The Rock, Dwayne
You,
Johnson.
you
Yeah.
met Dwayne Johnson?
Yeah, I did meet him one day. Yeah. I was only a stand-in for just a few days, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, what kind of person is he?
Oh, you know what? He's a real cool cat. I mean, I know that was the time when him and Vin Diesel weren't getting along. I think that was that big stink. But I knew the reasons
Wow.
why it was the big stink. And,
Right.
The Rock had 16 movies planned, and Vin Diesel, who was a producer, wanted to go see his kids, so he'd just show up whenever he wanted. And
Oh,
and so the real reason they got into an argument was The Rock had a schedule and it was being screwed up by
okay.
by random crap that Vin Diesel had done, and uh,
Oh,
and so he didn't like the ethics of, oh, you want to go and see your kids on the for 3 days when we're supposed to be shooting. And so one
okay.
of my other buddies that was a stand-in. Because of all this argument, they had to put like dots on his face because he looked a lot more. I don't look much like Dwayne Johnson, right? I'm just the same height and size,
Okay.
and so, but they would put dots on him, and like a lot of his body shots were just The Rock's face planted on my other buddy's body,
Wow.
all for wide shots, not for.
Well, no, two close-ups. People are not dumb. Wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So I mean, I was probably in, I mean, of course you're not listing your background and all this other stuff, but
yeah.
I was probably in 80 to 90 shows over the 18 months that I was in Atlanta.
That's
And
beautiful.
and now that's changed a lot too. Atlanta's even calmed down. All the Marvel movies are gone. Uh, Moving a lot of them to Europe and places like that. So Atlanta's not the way it used to be, right? But
Where
I moved to Kentucky because now we have some of the best incentives. So
Yeah, I've heard a lot. I have a former student over there. She's doing marvelous in Kentucky. I just spoke to another person yesterday or day before. Um, I interview my students before I accept them, but um, I live in Kentucky. I said, that's excellent because there's a lot going on in
yeah,
Kentucky. Um, and there is. And it's a beautiful place to film, selected
yeah.
places.
Steve Zahn moved here and he shoots like 2 movies a year here.
Wow.
And, uh, the weirdest thing in the world. I live in Danville, Kentucky, and this is where I base most of my films. But I just found out 6 months ago that 2 blocks down from me, and nobody's going to know who this is. Maybe you might know who this
Okay.
is an actress named Kim Darby.
I've
And
heard of her. I
yeah,
have.
she was the little girl in True Grit, in the original one with John Wayne.
Okay. Wow.
And
What a
she was like
privilege.
2 blocks down from me, right? And I find that a lot of people from California come to Kentucky because it's still cheap. I have a 5 bedroom house in the middle of my town, and and I bought it for $200,000.
Oh, wow. It
Yeah,
looks almost historic from what I can see.
yeah, it is. It's 16-foot ceilings, and
Oh,
it was built in
historic.
1906, right? So
Wow. Okay.
it used to be a doctor's house, and so when I first moved to Danville, I moved I was doing some filming in Fairfax, Virginia. I moved here, and because of the Kentucky incentives, and then before I was buying it, I went to the realtor, and he just moved from California, and he was the accountant for Helen Hunt. So, yeah, I mean, it's surprising how many people come here. Now, the biggest problem with Kentucky right now is we don't have the crew infrastructure, uh,
Oh, how come?
because we're fledglings. I mean, that's why we have these incentives. We want people to come here
Okay.
and teach people in Kentucky how to do this.
That would be a great incentive for people that want to learn. I'll just use the word crew because there's a lot to a crew. Um, that would be an open door if you want to learn, I don't know, well, cinematography, gaffing, lighting, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. My
Fantastic.
my idea right now with what I do, so I do a different thing when I shoot a movie. I call it education equity, right? And so I will hire my 3 or 4 main stars, and then everybody else comes in are students. All my other actors are students. And then the first day is all classes from my 3 main stars teaching everybody on set. And then every morning we do 2 hours of classes, and we cover everything from the business side to whatever. And then I found out when I started doing this, my main stars were kind of like extra directors, right? So they would come, and it became a family group thing.
I love
And
that.
and then what ended up happening is because we all spent so much time together, and we all helped each other, and we all practiced together on the sets, that 50% of everyone would cry when they left, because it was uh, uh, you find your tribe. So
Yeah,
in a world right now in independent markets, you got so many pay to plays, right? And I got tired of that. I said, pay to play. You people spend their hard-earned cash because they want to see Kevin Sorbo or somebody, and they get
right.
there and they can't act, and then they get cut, and now they're upset that that whatever. And then the movies, when they do stay honest and keep everybody in, they're just wretched.
I know.
Said,
Pay to play is psychologically it, it, it bends your creativity. It's just like, okay, I was hired as I was accepted as an actor, not because of my ability or skill, because I paid into it. I think
correct.
that is wrong. Uh,
Yeah. And so
so
with
many
that
levels.
same mentality, I said, what if I pay my main actors to teach everybody, and then we're going to have a 10-day workshop.
That's
And
creative,
in return, you're going to be in the movie as a cherry on top. And
right?
so in a 10 days, I was doing 2 6-hour class days, and then the rest 2 hour days. But that really isn't true, because they were all going and learning lines together while we weren't having the the actual classes. And so I ended up calling it education equity because, and in my heart, if there's producers out there doing pay to play, steal this idea. Steal it, please, because what you're going to end up doing is teaching a whole group of people how to act. And after each of us producers do 10 of these, we have a group of people that now we can make profitable movies because they can actually act.
And they'll stay with you.
Yes. And so over my last 10 movies, I have right now 111 students that have
Wow.
graduated.
It's a
And
very good
so,
idea.
and again, instead of on a pay to play, if you still want to use your Kickstarter, you still want to use Indiegogo, sell them the classes. Go and get some good actors that I have not met one good actor yet who didn't want to teach because
It's
they
in you.
love the craft.
Yeah, I've had younger people, and I don't step on toes. I mean, as an acting coach, if I'm hard to be an acting coach, that's different. But I respect a individual director's vision. However, if I'm acting within a scene with a child or teenager, and they come up to me and said, "How do you how do I play this son, or if it's a daughter, or if it's a woman, or whatever?" And I'll give them some pointers. At the same time, I'll go, "Point over there, and I'm going to tell you this, and I appreciate you, but talk to your director as well, you know." But
Yeah,
I love education equity. That's very clever in a good way, and I appreciate you just saying here publicly, take it, share it, because really, competition starts up here, starts nowhere else but up here. Oh, there's a lot of competition out there. Well, yeah, so is sports. I mean,
yeah.
but
Well,
it's up here.
I even teach my actors. I said you must understand that if you're in a scene with somebody who's not on your same level, that doesn't make you look better. So what I say is, if you find somebody who doesn't have their lines or whatever, one of the tricks I teach them is I say, go up to them and say, hey, can you do me a favor? I didn't study my lines very well. Can you practice with me? Because
Ooh,
now I've took it from a way of, hey, you need help to I need help. Now I'm passively helping them by thinking they're helping me learn my lines.
I
Right.
like it.
And these
Love,
are just little tricks that you teach.
right.
And and then I always do, like, before I even film a movie, I get sit my actors down, especially the new ones, and I have this thing called acting in front of the camera 101, and I tell them, look, when we film, just to break this down real easy, you don't have to know what lenses are on the camera, but you do need to know if you have a wide shot, a medium shot, or a close-up shot, because you have to pull your acting back based on how close those are. So one part of being an actor just isn't acting, it's also knowing how you're being filmed. And then I talk about how lenses flatten you out. And so instead of turning and just looking at people, you might be directing shoulder to shoulder, right?
Kind
So
of cheating, like on stage. You kind of cheat
yeah,
out just a little.
yeah. And so I always give these classes because then they get comfortable. And then when it comes to, I mean, I'm an advocate of know your lines, read them 100 times, because when you're on a live set, what you're really concerned about is the director blocking you. So if you already have the words, then you can concentrate more on being blocked and move around.
Right.
Right? And one of the things I tell people is, because in film, you don't know how they're going to block you, learn all your lines moving. Like, instead of learn your lines sitting down first, but then stand up and move
See,
and learn your lines.
I would love to work with you someday on something, because I am all about movement. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, intellectually, tell me if I'm getting it right. Like, intellectually, you know your lines, but your body does not know the lines. Your
Correct.
body, even though you're connected, your body doesn't know what to do until you do it, you know, and then you start moving, and then you feel the anger, the upset, the revenge, the
Yeah.
ecstasy, whatever the character's going through. And then it's fun. It's like being on a playground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I always teach every actor is I teach them to learn their lines standing up and
Yeah.
moving back and forth. I have tricks for especially for people who've never done them before. I always teach how now brown cow, right? Do you
Okay.
know that one where
You got to remind me.
uh, it's word emphasis. How now brown cow? How now brown cow? How
Oh
now
yeah.
brown cow? Right? And I say every line that you hit, and once again, this is for people who don't really know how to act. Pick an
Sure.
emphasis. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Right? So it's a trick, right? So
Yeah.
now it keeps it from sounding like they're just saying a line. And then the next thing I teach is say you have a really long line. Get two markers, get a yellow one, get a highlighter, yellow and a pink. And I say
Yep.
anything that's white, you say it at the normal pace. But if it's yellow, your character slows down. And if it's pink, you're speeding up, right? And
What if it's green?
again, you're creating this roller coaster of a line delivery. Now you add on the emphasis point that I just gave you.
Yeah.
And then if people take theater, I usually have to teach them to go down at the end of the sentence instead of project.
Right.
They normally do.
Yeah.
And then you learn them standing up. And even if you've never acted before, that right there, those three little tricks, four little tricks, can convince people you can act.
Yeah. No, that's very valuable. We're
And
actors in real life, aren't we? You're a dad.
yeah,
You're a filmmaker. You do various things. You put on a hat, as it were, and you act out that part subconsciously because out of habit and things. But everyone acts. It's just
sure.
when
I
you're
mean,
in front of the camera, well, then the pressure's on a little bit.
correct.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you can go on and do demo reels or get on smaller sets, you're supposed to study the other actors. You're supposed to watch them because I think, like I've always heard, and I don't know this, but I think I saw an interview with Brad Pitt. When he shows up, it's just like, he's smoked three bowls of weed. Not that I advocate any of that, but I mean, he's just so calm, and then they get up and they do their acting. And I think this calming nature of like, hey, this is just work. I've been doing it so many days. I just show up and this is what I do. And I don't stress about it. Oh, they changed my lines. That's okay. Oh,
And
they've done this. All right. Yeah, whatever.
right, it's flexibility. No, that's right.
And you only get that by knowing how every piece of equipment works, how the sound people are going to deal with you, how your costume people are, because then you know when it's time to panic.
This is why, agree to disagree, but I think this is why, um, when people say, "Oh, I'm just a background artist, background extra," no, no, you enhance the background, true, but you have the ability that principals and supporting actors necessarily don't have. You can observe and see and ask questions when appropriate and take it all in, you know?
And also I forgot what movie it is. It was a gangster movie, but there was this background actor who decided the whole time he was going to peel an orange. And so he's just back there peeling an orange, and the director saw it, moved him to the table with the regular actors. And he's just sitting
I've
there.
heard this. I don't know which movie that
I
was.
forget which one. If anybody knows, link down below in these comments of where this is. But
Yeah.
again, one thing that teased me off
What?
is when people go, no, I don't want to do your film because I don't have enough lines.
You've heard that?
Oh yeah, multiple times, multiple
Terrible.
times. And I tell people acting is what happens when you don't have any lines. Anybody can deliver lines. The
Yeah.
acting part happens when you don't have them,
It's
right?
Right.
And I can write you in a movie as a character, have you in 32 scenes, never say a word, and you could steal the show.
Absolutely.
And you know, another thing I tell a lot of my new actors, I said, when I give you a script, you and I know the character 100%. But when you show up, I better know that character 10%, and you know them 100%, which means you have to develop the character. You have to
Oh,
decide everything that goes into that character.
like when you raise an eyebrow, they should know how
Yeah.
to respond, react. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so just them that, like, I tell actors, you might have come up with a character background that me as the writer wouldn't agree with, but you're
Right.
not doing it because it comes out in the picture. You're doing it because when you've developed the character that deeply, that eyebrow comes up at the right time.
Yeah,
That listening to that other person acting creates that body language that makes you look natural.
very
Now,
true.
there are multiple other techniques, but I find that the ones that I'm telling you right now are the ones that help people who never really ever acted. And for me
Yeah,
to get them to a place on screen where when they show it to their friends, they're like, yeah, that was
excellent.
fun.
What projects are you currently working on, or a project?
Uh, I have 6 movies filmed. I've released 3. I got 6 coming up that we're in editing and post. I have one that has 3 more days, and it's probably my favorite project I worked on.
Good.
Uh, it's called The Wrestling Movie, and it's a musical starring former WWE superstar Al Snow. And it's a fictional version of his life with 13 original songs in it. And it's about a wrestler who's down on his luck, who gets willed a wrestling business, but he's broke. And it's kind of based off of like the Muppet movie. He's traveling and picking up weird people along the way as he's going to this will
That
reading.
sounds
And
like fun.
it's so wonky that
Yeah.
it's either going to do horrible or it's going to do great.
But does it make you feel good about yourself? Does it
Oh,
give you
yeah.
joy? That's
Yeah.
what counts ultimately. You can't worry about, will they like me? Will they want? You have no control over that, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, you know, I tell people, especially producers, that, you know, I make my movies for between 20 and $50,000, which is unheard of if you're out in California. But in Kentucky, that would be like having $100,000 in California because the money goes much farther.
It's good to know.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, my entrepreneurship, in Danville, I have a college called Center College. It's a pretty famous college here. But they have all their students all you can eat. And I have a deal with them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at $8 a head. So for $21, everyone's fed on my set,
Oh, wow. I'll
right?
say that's creative.
So people don't think about go to the colleges. That's what they're there for. They're trying to feed cheaply, right?
Right.
Um, Kentucky doesn't have, as long as I talk to the city council or whatever, we don't have any, they'll shut down roads for us. We don't have to pay anything. A lot of people will give us free locations, right? Because it's still new here. Oh, my house gets to be in a movie, right?
Oh, excellent.
And then I can go to, it's not glamorous, but our Red Roof Inn here, where I put 2 students in a room, cost me around 65 a night, which you can't get in other places. So out
Right.
of that 20, $30,000, I'm probably spending 5,000 on food and 6 or 8,000 on hotel lodging. And then you have to kind of bring people in. There's not,
Sure.
but still, that's a hell of a lot cheaper. Now, see, you're in LA, right? So then you don't have to worry about it. You got good talent. You don't need hotel rooms. I mean, you still got to feed them, maybe a few. But now on the other end, now everyone's charging you for every location. You know, there's transportation, there's all this other kind of stuff. And
Right.
then I can hire on the independent producers, like we usually either do 150 a day, 250 a day, 350 a day, or 500 for the main stars. You can't even get people out there to come in for the 250 or 350 or
I understand.
so it's just how you spend the different type of money.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about all this entrepreneurial stuff, then you got to throw in what's going to happen with AI, right? And that's a
Pardon
big,
me when I pardon me when I roll my eyes. Okay. You got
yeah, it's big. But you remember
yeah.
you said, hey, a polymath, you're a polymath. I think we mentioned that. I study AI completely. Like I'm actually writing systems uh, that I can implement with my AIs to make them seem more human.
Implement. Thank you. You use that word because you can't rely totally on it.
No,
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 it's a
no.
tool.
It you're what they are is you're getting cheap assistants. But
True.
the person who's the master, like for instance, if I write a script using AI, like even with everything I wrote for it, I can get it at 79%, 80%, right? Now you want to hit 90, 95. And you just can't do that unless you know how to write a script, what's emotional, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have a bunch of kids going, oh, I wrote this script. Well, why is the script not doing good? Because you don't have enough information to know what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
AI is your assistant at best. So you can have what I call filmopreneurs. So someone like myself who uses 5 AIs, but I'm still know when they're full of shit. And they're full of shit a lot, right?
All right.
So now where AI is really coming in is say, for instance, you're editing in DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah. That's a
They
good one.
have all of these, and again, I wouldn't call them AI, I would call them intelligent assistants that help you,
Thank
right?
you.
One of the things that's kind of cool is like, say I shot our movie and I said, oh my God, I didn't get him walking from the table to the door. I can now use 4 seconds of doing that and save me from having to do these reshoots, right? Um, and I think you're going to see this hybrid. Now, I think in 10 years from now, where it's going to go is I'm still going to bring my actors in, pull my iPhone out, film them, and then take them to the AI and say, now put the costumes on it and put the background behind them. I think, that is a realistic thing. Are we going to get rid of the actors? I don't think so. I think they're going to, a lot of them are going to migrate to Broadway and local shows.
I would that makes so much sense because integrity is lost. If
Yeah.
you don't.
And then the rise of the social media star is a big thing. Like we don't see that right now, but look at everybody making money on TikTok. Everybody making money and they get sponsorships and whatever. So
Right.
imagine in 10 years from now, I'm trying to make a movie and I come to you and I say, hey, can I buy your likeness and voice for $10,000 and I'm going to put you as the secondary character in my movie? And you're going to go, that's cool, but I get all veto rights over that AI. And then
Right.
you'll look at it and say, no, I want them to drop this. You add the personality into it.
Sure.
And because there's still this thing of saying, hey, I saw you on Broadway. Oh, and you were in this movie, right?
Yeah.
So the next part of being an actor is going to be growing your social media because all these people will sponsor you in films. Now,
Right.
I believe there'll still be films made,
Right.
right? But I talked to one of my DPs the other day, and we said, "Are we ever going to make AI films?" And and here's the honest to God's truth. Every time I make a movie, I'm limited by the budget I have. whether that's 100 or 50,000 or 150 or 200. I can
Right.
only make a project as big as I can fund. And AI gives filmpreneurs the first time to compete against a Marvel movie.
Okay, I can
Will,
appreciate that.
will we do it all the time? No, because I like meeting the actors. I like teaching. I like doing that. Will we? I think I heard an actor one time say, I do movies because Broadway doesn't pay much. And so I can do one movie so that I can do this. And I think
Okay.
we're going to see more of, yeah, I'm still going to teach. I'm still going to make these movies to help people. But I also might make this one AI movie that pays the bills to help me do all of this.
Right. So you can, for instance, go audition and be on a Broadway show or something like that.
Yes.
Because humanity's everything.
We have to still connect. I think the
Yeah.
future with AI coming in is more live shows, more entertainment, more going out and meeting people, but it's going to be in small groups,
I
right?
like that.
Yeah,
You put a very good spin on AI, or as you say, IA, which is, how did you say it? Something assistance?
yeah. Artificial assistance,
Yeah, yeah.
hey,
Yeah, something.
hey, but
Yeah.
I again, I don't see it as there's a saying, it's AI isn't going to take your job. The person using AI is going to take your job.
Very true.
And then I was just, again, before we talked, I was talking with one of my DPs and I said, next year they're going to have a robot that folds clothes in your house and does the dishes. It's already on the market. You can purchase them,
Yeah, and
but their subscription's 500 a month to have this thing. So you're going to have to, doing the dishes and folding your laundry, you're going to have to be able to go do business that pays for that 500 that you're spending.
$500 for that, you can do your own dishes and fold your own clothes and use
Yes.
that 500 towards a project.
But here's my next thing.
What?
When that comes through, how far am I away from, oh, this robot carries the camera. This one uses the lights.
Oh, don't even say that. That's scary.
So that I can show up with 6 robots, me being the filmpreneur. I have a camera robot. I have 4 light robots. They each cost me $500 a month, but now I'm shooting movies where I don't have to pay a crew. So that's a possibility. I'm not saying that's where it's going,
Yeah, it's just
but imagine, like, we do not have an idea in 10 years what
of
the
course.
hell is going to happen. But I do know this: plant seeds to grow trees to help people you'll never meet.
Plant seeds to grow trees to people you'll never
To,
meet.
to, to cash to shade people you'll never meet.
That's beautiful. I love that.
So if you do what's best for society, if you take care of other people, no matter what happens and how technology goes, and whether it's social media, whether it's acting or whatever,
Okay.
can I bring joy in other people's lives? Can I teach them and mentor them with what I know? And even though I understand AI and I understand science, I write science papers, you know, uh, but all of this boils down to that I was a game designer that breaks everything down.
Yeah, it goes back to your youth. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And so now you have a system that you teach, right? So I read
Right.
on the website that you have a special thing that you teach. Tell
Yes.
me about that real quick.
Oh, my favorite. I mean, I teach dialects. I teach uh, how to act in front of a camera. I teach stage movement, self-confidence, um, how to embrace yourself and put yourself into a character. You don't lose yourself in a character. You find yourself in a character. But my central focus is character development. That
Mm-hmm.
means you, and then the character that you're going to portray as accurately as possible. Because if you know yourself, like you've been saying through this whole interview, basically comes from the inside out. It's not outside in, you know.
Yeah.
So my specialty is getting as much pinpoint accuracy as possible, so people will get auditions and win the audition as well, because that's where you start to really grow. I've
Yeah.
have students now that are also directors and script writers and producers, and they just love to branch out, and I totally get that, you know. But it starts on the inside,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. And see, I'd love to hear more about that, but I know you're interviewing me, but I'd
I
love
know,
to
I
hear
know.
more about
We'll
that.
get we'll get together a little bit later, and we'll do some shop talk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And again, everyone will probably notice that the way I talk and everything is just me breaking down systems and saying, this is why this seems to work this way.
yeah.
Is it true? I don't know. But I do like to tell stories. And I think I said this before. And if I did, I'm repeating myself. One of the best things about humans, and I try to teach, tell the AIs this. I said, look at Star Trek, and they had communicators and all of this.
Oh
And
yeah,
look at what Roddenberry was saying. This is where humans can be.
yeah.
I think we as humans, one of our special powers is storytelling. We always create stories to show what we can be, even though if you look at us, we're not that great of a species. We're kind of mean to each other. We're kind of horrible to each other. But as long as we tell stories of where we hope we're going to be and where we hope humanity is going to be, that gives everybody enough hope to maybe get there.
I like that. With
Yeah.
that, I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Sure.
How do we reach you? What's the best way?
Uh,
I know you're IMDb, but
littlemonstersentertainment.com is where I promote all of my movies. Over there, you'll see things for workshops. I do 1 day workshops, 1 week workshops, and then I do uh, usually 2 to 4 movies a year where I
okay,
do what I call actors retreats, where you come and do this.
yeah,
Um, and that you can find me on Facebook, Whit Whitman. Uh, and if you want to, I think the group is Little Monsters Filmmaking Resource. I'll give you the links for them. And if anyone wants to learn anything about filmmaking, about 3 times a week, I just put up articles, and you can go down and read articles about writing, script writing. And again, I try to do it all. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I am willing to share my information. And if it helps you get to where I'm at so that you can go farther in life, that's what I hope.
thank you.
I don't really, other than my workshops, I don't ask for money. I'm not somebody, I'm old, right? So I got to pass this wisdom on. And again, maybe the wisdom's only here for 10 years.
I understand. You know, I always say 9 months gestation period. That's a given. After that, you don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank
So,
you, Walt. I was going to call you Walt Whitman.
well,
I keep
everyone
going
calls
there
me Walt. Don't worry, it happens all the time.
because you do right. You know,
Yeah.
Whit Whitman. Thank you for being on Real Actors, Real Answers. You've been a blessing, and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk again. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.